morning, class. My name is Julian Pena, and today my partner Nick and I have agreed to support the proposition that the United States should intervene with military force in Syria. I'll support this proposition with 3 claims. The first one is that there is chaos in Syria and the United States needs to step in. I'll support this by claiming that the Syrian government has used chemical weapons against civilians, including children. Barack Obama stated that in Damascus, a city in Syria, a chemical weapon attack took place while over 1,000 people were murdered. Several hundreds of them were children gassed to death by their own government. He also claimed that the attack on the Syrian government has committed against its people is an assault on human dignity. And this brings serious danger to our national security and endangers our friends and partners along Syrian borders, such as Israel, Jordan, Turkey, Lebanon, and Iraq. It could also lead to escalating use of chemical weapons, which he already did. Another reason why the United States needs to step in is because an Assad regime victory in Syria would be disastrous. Oliver Wright, a political editor, reported that David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, Barack Obama, and President Putin, who's the president of Russia, they all agree that the political reality is that Assad would not be accepted as a leader by many Syrians who have already suffered under his rule. Also, an Assad regime victory would be disastrous because it seems that it's likely that he will achieve victory, and it's disastrous because it will exacerbate the refugee crisis, and it would also empower United States enemies such as Iran and Hezbollah, and it will lead to genocidal atrocities. My second claim is the United States' current policy is ineffective. The United States' current policy is that so according to the foreign policy agenda, the goal of the foreign policy is to build and sustain a more democratic, secure, and prosperous world for the benefit of the American people and an international community. This is an ineffective policy because there are already 4 million refugees that have left Syria, and that is my first supporting fact, that the refugee problem, there's 1.6 million Syrian refugees living in Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, and Iraq. And they are dangerously straining the economies and threatening the stability of the host countries. In Jordan, where a crushing budget deficit has led to violent crashes with the government, the 500,000 Syrian refugees in camps are there exploiting the country's budget. In Turkey, Syrian families are moving into half-constructed houses, living in tents where they are vulnerable to disease and stretching already inadequate medical supplies. And my third supporting claim is that the United States is no longer a power broker. Now, the United States is no longer a power broker because Niall Ferguson, a historian from Harvard University, made a claim that he has no clue what the United States policy is at the moment other than to hope that things turn out for the better. The United States from the 1970s until this administration was clearly the dominant power broker. Now we are in a situation where Putin is credibly more a power broker than Obama. Obama is hoping things turn out for the best, which is unlikely. There is at least 5 groups fighting in Syria right now, and who knows how that will end. Also, the potential for the violence to escalate further and for neighboring countries there's potential for this escalation to go on further and for the neighboring countries to destabilize. The United States could have stopped this when it was just a civil war, but now it's turned into a regional war, and the ultimate cost for the United States could be much higher than anybody seems to be aware of. Also, my third claim is that the plan is to equip and support the DFS, also known as the Democratic Forces of Syria. Now, the Democratic Forces of Syria it includes the Kurdish YPG militia and Syrian Arab groups, which have already fought and driven the Islamic State from white areas of the north earlier this year. Also, Abdul Muaz, a spokesman for the Raqqa Revolutionary Front, which is a group that actually lives in Raqqa, made the claim that the Democratic Forces of Syria will capture Raqqa, a city in Syria controlled by ISIS, in under only 2 months, provided they have the right weapons and quantities. Also, the Democratic Forces of Syria is the most reliable group that the United States has its reliance on. For example, Nazar Haj Munzar, an official in the Defense Ministry of the Kurdish administration, claimed that the current goal in political terms is to defeat ISIS, given that it is the first enemy. But the goal in the long run is to make a democratic Syria in the future. And to support that, we should support and equip this group. The United States intervention would be more helpful than the Russian intervention. For example, Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reports that 185 civilians were killed in Russian strikes this past month, including 46 women and 48 children, and they have only killed 131 ISIS fighters. The Human Rights Watch claims that this airstrike was apparently a violation of the laws of war, and the Syrian National Coalition claims Russian attacks amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity and should be condemned by the United Nations Security Council. And how do I know that the United States can be way more helpful than Russia? Because it already has been. Going back to the Human Rights Watch, they also made the claim that the United States-led air campaign has killed 30,726 ISIS members, an average of 252 a month, while they've only killed as a whole 222 civilians. While they also made the claim that the United States works hard to be precise in their airstrikes, while all Russia is doing is dismissing all their claims of killing civilians. Clearly, the United States intervention will benefit the world. Thank you.